Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Powergrid Infrastructure Investment Trust Q3 FY23 post-results conference call hosted by ICICI Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Anshuman Ashit from ICICI Securities. Thank you and over to you.
Thank you, Yashashvi. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Mr. Rahul Modi and myself from ICICI Securities, I welcome you all to PG InvIT's Q3 FY23 post-results conference call. Today, we are pleased to host the senior management of the trust, represented by Mr. Abhay Chaudhary, Non-Executive Chairman, Mr. A.K. Singhal, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Purushottam Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Amit Garg, Chief Financial Officer, and other senior officials from the management. The call will start with brief remarks from the management, after which we'll open the floor for the question and answer session. Thank you and over to you, sir, for your initial remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Powergrid Unchaha Transmission Limited, investment manager to PG InvIT, I would first take this opportunity to wish PG InvIT unit holders a very happy New Year 2023. I would also like to thank all the participants for sparing time and joining this call. I have with me Mr. A.K. Singhal, Director PUTL, Mr. Purushottam Agarwal, CEO PUTL, and Mr. Amit Garg, CFO PUTL, and other senior officials. On January 24, 2023, PG InvIT announced its unaudited financial results for the quarter and 9 months period ended December 31, 2022, and distribution for the quarter ended December 31, 2022, which have been disclosed on both the stock exchanges. A presentation on Q3 FY2023 results of PG InvIT has been uploaded on the website, and presuming that you have gone through it, I do not propose to go through the same, and instead would be providing a summary of the results. Most of you would be aware that PG InvIT currently owns 5 SPVs with 100% equity shareholding in one SPV and 74% in each of the other 4 SPVs. The SPVs are operational projects comprising 11 transmission lines with a network of approximately 3,699 circuit kilometers and 3 substations with 6,630 MVA transformation capacity. The average remaining life of the TSAs is more than 30 years. PG InvIT, with a value proposition of AAA, that is Assets, Assurance and Advantage, aims to provide consistent, stable and visible returns to its unit holders. Now I would like to start from the distribution for the quarter ended December 31, 2022. We have announced a distribution of rupees 3 per unit, which would be paid to the unit holders before 8 February 2023. And this is the 3rd distribution by the trust for fiscal 23 and the 6th consecutive distribution since our listing in May 21. Including the recently announced distribution, the aggregate distribution by PG InvIT since its listing is more than rupees 17.74 billion. For fiscal 22, an aggregate distribution of rupees 10.5 per unit was made to the unit holders for the working period of the trust with effect from May 13, 21 to March 31, 22. Our distributions, including the latest rupees 3 per unit, are in line with our distribution policy and SEBI regulations, which stipulate not less than 90% of NDCF to be distributed to unit holders. I would like to reiterate that as per our distribution policy, the distributions shall be declared and made not less than once every quarter. Now coming to the highlights for the quarter and 9 months period ended December 31, 22. And on the operations part first, I would like to say that our project manager ensured that the operation and maintenance of the assets were carried out efficiently, and the monthly availability of each of the SPV during the period April to December 22 was in excess of the target availability. SPV-wise, the average availability has been in excess of 99.75% for 9 months period ended December 31, 22. The data for Q3 financial year 23 is on provisional basis, as the monthly availability certificates for most of the SPVs for the period October 22 to December 22 are awaited from the respective RPCs. No accidents were reported during the quarter. Keeping in mind our thrust on sustainable operations, various activities like fire and safety drills and training programs were held for the teams. You would be aware that one of the SPVs, PKATL, has been allotted a project implementation of bus reactor at Kalam substation by PKATL under regulated tariff mechanism. I would like to inform that civil works are currently under progress. And now coming to financial highlights. During the current financial year, total income on a consolidated basis for the quarter ended December 31, 2022 was about 3310.67 million, which included rupees 3243.23 million of revenue from operations and rupees 67.44 million of other income. The other income is mainly on account of interest earned on the deposits and surcharge income. Total expenses, including impairment for the quarter at the consolidated level, stood at about rupees 1,102.76 million. Total income and expenses, excluding impairment, for the 9-month period ended December 31, 2022, stood at rupees 9924.31 million and rupees 3247.89 million respectively. The NDCFs calculated at SPV level have been provided along with the consolidated financial results disclosed on the stock exchanges. The cash flows from SPVs are in the nature of interest income, dividend income, repayment of SPV debt. More than 90% of the NDCF of the SPVs have been upstreamed to PG InvIT by December 31, 22 in line with InvIT regulations and the trust distribution policy. The NDCF of PG InvIT for the quarter ended December 31, 2022 works out to be rupees 2,661.28 million. For the 9-month period ended December 31, 22, the trust NDCF was rupees 8145.67 million. We have announced a distribution of rupees 3 per unit, which comprises of interest component of rupees 2.01, taxable dividend component of rupees 0.43, exempt dividend component of rupees 0.25, repayment of SPV debt of rupees 0.3, and treasury income of rupees 0.01. The total distribution amount works out to be more than 100% of the NDCF at PG InvIT level, as against at least 90% as stipulated in the regulations and our distribution policy. For this fiscal, this takes our aggregate distribution to rupees 9 per unit. And with this distribution, we have in aggregate paid or announced an aggregate of rupees 19.5 per unit to our unit holders since our listing in May 21. As on December 31, 2022, PG InvIT had an external borrowing of rupees 5,734.27 million, which was raised from HDFC Bank to part finance the acquisitions. The loan, as informed earlier, is a floating rate loan linked to 3 months treasury bill. I would additionally like to share that recently in the new year, the spread of the loan has been reduced by 34 basis points, which would lead to savings on future interest payments. Net debt as a percentage of AUM as on December 31, 2022 works out to about 1.2%, which provides significant headroom for funding future acquisitions entirely through debt. The trust continues to enjoy the highest credit ratings, AAA, with stable outlook from all the 3 ratings agencies, namely ICRA Limited, CRISIL Ratings, and CARE Ratings. Billed trade receivables as on December 31, 2022 stood at rupees 2,046.97 million, equivalent to 58 days of billing. Now for the acquisition of the balance 26% equity shareholding in PKATL, we are envisaging completing of acquisitions of Powergrid remaining 26% shareholding in Powergrid Kalam Transmission Limited during the previous quarter. However, the same could not be concluded during the period. While we are in discussion with the sponsor on the matter, we feel that completing the transaction in the current fiscal can be a bit of challenge. On the outlook front, we would like we would be evaluating acquisition opportunities from our sponsor, Powergrid, as and when it undertakes monetization as per targets assigned to it under the Government of India's National Monetization Pipeline. During financial year 22-23, Powergrid had a target of rupees 75 billion monetization, and considering that only about 2 months are left in the financial year, we are not envisaging any fresh acquisition opportunities from the sponsor in the financial year 23. We continue to maintain that by virtue of having significant headroom for acquisition of new assets through debt, competitive strengths, and being a ready investment vehicle with a large pool of institutional and non-institutional investors, PG InvIT stands to benefit from Government of India's asset monetization program. Further, we are not relying solely on sponsors' monetization plan and are exploring opportunities to acquire other operational power transmission assets as well. While there may be concerns about the debt-funded acquisition strategy and prevailing high interest rates, we believe that since InvIT regulations require assets to be valued by the independent valuer before acquisition, the cost of debt prevalent at that time will be factored in by the independent valuer while assigning value to the assets. We would like to reiterate that all assets proposed for acquisition will be evaluated for their suitability to PG InvIT on the basis of the operational history in accordance with InvIT regulations, compliances with InvIT regulations, and statutory requirements, PG InvIT's corporate governance framework, and keeping in mind the overall interest of the unit holders. We are on our way to deliver on our guidance of distribution of rupees 12 per unit for the financial year 22-23. Thank you. And now I would like to hand over to the moderator for further proceedings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We have our first question from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead. Mr. Mohit Kumar, can you please unmute your line? Mr. Mohit Kumar, they are unable to hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is about any guidance on the timeline of acquisition new assets. Basically, you just mentioned that you won't be acquiring any assets in 23, but what is the timeline for the acquisition of assets in 24? That is.
Yeah, we cannot say a definite timeline, but yes, we hope to have some acquisitions in 24 because few of the Powergrid assets are maturing in 24, as well as depending on the NMP, that National Monetization Plan of Government of India. Definitely, we expect something on the way in 24.
Sir, and is it fair to assume that if we don't acquire any more assets, the distribution for next year will also be around 12 rupees?
It is too early. You will expect me to freeze that in the, after a quarter when we announce the fourth quarter results.
So just a follow-up on that, if we consider that we don't add any more assets, apart from buying the remaining stakes in the 4 assets that we already have, so how long can we sustain the 12 rupees per unit of distribution?
It is very difficult, although it was very clear at the beginning at the IPO. We have given you the list of all the cash flows. So from there you can see, or I would request my CFO to brief you on that.
Good evening, Mr. Mohit. I mean, this is if you had gone through our document, which is available on the SEBI's website, wherein you can find the cash flow, rather the financial projections for the next 3 years. Along with that is also the valuation report, which gives the cash position for all my 5 assets. So you can very well make out to a very large extent if you go through that. However, having said that, there ought to be certain ups and downs, though to a not very large extent. But as far as the giving guidance for the next fiscal goes, as the chairman sir pointed out, you can expect it along with the Q4 results when we'll be interacting with you guys.
Okay, sir. So, and just a final question. You also mentioned about you looking at opportunities to add through other assets apart from PGCIL. So, are we only looking at transmission assets, or are we also looking at, say, renewable assets or battery storage systems and all that?
At the moment, we are looking after only transmission assets for the time being.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. I'll join back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Sunil M. Kothari from Unique PMS. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir, and very detailed, which was really helpful. Sir, just one question I'm not able to understand is this Powergrid. Have they changed any policy or has changed, or why the 7,500 crore was current year? They want to convert this asset to InvIT and then 15,000 crore and another 15,000 crore. That was the guidance we heard.
Kothari?
Yeah.
Basically, it is basically for the sponsor for Powergrid to answer. I mean, it would not be good for the PG InvIT to answer your question. So I would leave it that to you. You can ask someone in the Powergrid AGM, and it should not be appropriate for me to answer that question on behalf of Powergrid.
Right. So, sir, my question is there any other remaining opportunities also to sustain this trust for many more years, generate this type of cash flow?
See, presently it is in good shape. You very well understand. Now, how to sustain it for a longer period? Definitely, if we acquire a few assets, that will be good for us. And depending on if you can see the future growth of the transmission sector, the transmission sector is poised for a sustained growth, as is visible. There is a rolling plan of CTUI, the Central Transmission Utility, for 27-28, and more recently there is a CA report also, which has been released for addition of the RE capacity by 2030. There is a tremendous, they have spoken about tremendous growth in the transmission sector. They'll be adding around more than 50,000 circuit kilometers and more than 4 lakh MVA capacity at an estimated cost of around 2.4 lakh crore during the period from now to 2030. And because you are fully aware that Government of India is in full gear to go for this renewables, and 50% of our generation capacity has to be added from the non-fossil fuel sources. So to match with that and for the integration of those resources to the grid, Further, inter-regional transmission capacity is also going to grow from 1,12,000 megawatt at present to about 1,50,000 megawatt in 2030. So, more transmission builds means larger bouquet of assets that may be available for acquisition. But as these assets are presently in the construction stage, maybe not in the immediate future, say 1 or 2 years, but definitely after that, there'll be a lot of assets for us to go for acquisition.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Neeraj Kamtekar from Prospero Tree. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. Sir, my earlier participant has asked the same question, but I repeat the question. Sir, here in the presentation, it is mentioned that InvIT will acquire the balance stake in the SPV through the debt raise. So my question is that how much the distribution will be increased through this acquisition, because now the InvIT will hold the 100% in the whole SPV. So what will be the impact on the distribution in future?
I think I would request our CFO to give you a detailed answer on this.
Yeah, good evening, Neeraj. I mean, sir, it all depends at what price are you going to acquire the balance 26% stake. Now, you view it from the perspective that this balance 26%, acquisition of this balance 26% stake is more from the perspective of gaining the 100% control. From the perspective of increase in the DPU, there will not be much of an impact to begin with. You know, the only thing we can think of right now is, you know, that we are sitting almost at the peak of the interest rate cycle, and this peak may, you know, last for quite some time. So probably the acquisition that we make basis the debt rates prevailing as of now, and when they start tapering off, because you know that cycle turns around every 3, 4, 5 years. So maybe, you know, we will be having some leverage to play on the interest rate at that point in time. But overall, you know, it depends upon at what price we acquire, and it is obviously based upon the valuation done by a independent valuer and further negotiation between the two parties.
But sir, what I understand from your that you are raising the debt and the rate of interest is very high currently. But there should be some arbitrage opportunity, because the interest rate is known today. If we are raising any loan, then the interest rate is known, and at the same time, though, if you are thinking that the interest cost must be lower than the revenue, the new revenue or new EBITDA, so there must be some gain to the bottom line. Is it my understanding?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, theoretically speaking, if I understand you right, there will be some margin over and above the cost of interest at which we will be discounting the, you know, cash flows and taking over, valuing the remaining 26% stake. But the point I was making is that it will not be too huge to make a huge impact on the distributions.
Because we understand that there should be because it's a 26% in the 4 SPV out of the 5 SPV, and if the 76% stake in the 4 SPV is generating the 12 rupees distribution per unit from at the current distribution level, then it must be increased by at least 2 to 2.5 rupees, because if the same SPV are operating at the same level, only the interest arbitration gain is there.
Neeraj, kindly appreciate the fact that a bulk of the funding has been done in these SPVs as loan given by PG InvIT. And this 12 rupees of DPU contains 2 elements which pertain solely to PG InvIT. That is the interest repayment and the capital repayment. Whatever, you know, whatever is distributed in the form of dividend by the SPVs are shared in the proportion of equity holding by the sponsor, that is Powergrid and PG InvIT. So going forward, if you assume that 12 rupees will become, you know, will be escalated by 26%, so that will not be the case. Only the dividend portion is what will be start accruing to PG InvIT. And if you happen to see the distribution only how much? only a minuscule parts of the dividend. I will just tell you the percentage also. Just give me 1 second. So for these 5 SPVs, dividend was 0.43. So just 0.25, which is the exempt dividend which pertain to WISAC, in which we already hold 100%. So आप देखेंगे 3 रुपए के अंदर कुल 43 pies is what remains for this, which can be increased by this 26% asset acquisition. So major chunk is already with PG InvIT.
But sir, कुछ तो benchmark IRR होगा ना कि नया acquisition करता है, then what should be the benchmark IRR? We should generate that much.
Not the right forum to talk about the IRR. These are the strategic issues which we will not like to discuss in the open forum, sir.
Okay, fine, sir, fine. Thanks from the back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Dhruv Muchal from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, in the 2Q results, you had given in the notes to accounts, you had given a disclosure of statement of net assets at fair value as of the Q2 end. So is it do you disclose it on a quarterly basis or it's only a half-yearly requirement?
Sir, we computed, as per the InvIT regulation, I am mandated to get the valuation done on half-yearly basis. That is for the September and March. So this value of InvIT asset depends upon the valuation done by the independent valuer. So we do not do it quarterly, and as you have found in our Q1 and Q3 results, that there is no impairment also provided in the financials, precisely because of the reason that we have not got the valuation done as it is not mandated. So in the March results, obviously you will be finding the valuation report, and basis which the NAV and the net asset at fair value also. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect, sir. And sir, the second thing is just on the earlier question of acquisition of future assets. Now there was news reports that your sponsor is probably looking at some alternate methods. So just want to, based on your understanding, is there some change in the strategy, or has there some incremental complication come up, or anything that you can probably share just to understand what's changed, or if there is some change also?
I think it would not be fair enough for me to again give my comments on what is the change of thought process in my sponsor's mind. But definitely they will be looking at the market, and but we still hope that the remaining 26%, if not sooner than later, we hope to acquire these assets.
Yeah. So the remaining is probably not a question, probably that will surely have come, but we were wondering about the future assets, which probably TBCB assets that...
Yeah. Future assets also. I think if you can read the news, it speaks of dropping the plan definitely for the current fiscal. We do not see it as a surprising new development. As you would recall that during the last investor conference also, Powergrid had explained issues around the conditions stipulated in the NMP for undertaking next set of monetization and the challenges around it. But still again, I would say that Powergrid is the best person to answer this question, not us.
Perfect, sir. Great, sir. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Pratik Kothari from Unique Portfolio Managers. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Sir, wanted your comments on what is causing this delay in acquiring the balance stake from PKPL, because this we could have gotten this in July, so it will be a while.
See, again, the same question is being asked by a number of persons. We should not comment what prevented Powergrid in transferring these assets to us. Basically, maybe the conditions, maybe Powergrid may not be requiring those money now, or but sooner than later, we are there to, we are confident that Powergrid will be with us and coming to us for this transaction.
The reason I think this question also is getting repeated because, as our CFO also mentioned, if you look at the cash flows which we have shared on the offer document and SEBI website, it goes down from 12 rupees now to maybe 7-8 rupees in 2030. And hence the concern again and again, whether do you have new assets to acquire, does this balance asset, do you get it?
Again, I would say that, because they have, in some forum, they have conveyed that this is a very small value of the asset, this PKATL, and maybe, and since all the assets are getting matured in 2024, they would like to take up the transaction in FY24 with other SPVs as well.
So, in case that this doesn't come through and one of the power generating asset has securitized some 15 years of cash flows with another bank, are we working or do we have assets in pipeline, non-Powergrid, non-sponsor assets, but maybe some private or third-party assets? Are we working on anything? What kind of pipeline do we have now?
Yeah, we have kept our mind open, basically, that apart from Powergrid asset also, we will look into. But definitely we'll see the valuation, we'll see the quality of the asset, and if need be, we are committed to acquiring those assets as well, other than Powergrid.
But any timeline, any quantum that you can share, what are we working on currently?
No, I mean, it will be too early right now.
Okay, fair enough. And so one clarification, so all through last 3-4 quarters, there's some debt repayment which an SPV does. I mean, this quarter about 28 crores. So in which case does an SPV have to repay debt, or this is your normal structure of loan that you would have given to them?
I would request my CFO to answer this.
Good evening, Pratik ji. I mean, as explained in the earlier calls also, I mean, you must be aware that there is a limit to the dividend distribution by any company as per the Companies Act. Dividend can only be declared out of the profit for the period or out of the retained earnings or reserves, as you call it. So what we do principally is that interest is something which needs to be upstreamed as per the facility agreement. So that gets the first priority while upstreaming the cash from the SPV. After that, whatever profit the SPV earns, out of that we try to get the dividend upstream, and if there is cash remaining which is required to be upstream to meet my DPU guidance, we give capital repayment the last priority to balance out the DPU. Now this makes sense because the interest is a tax deductible expense, so we try to elongate the life of the loan as far as we can.
Fair enough, sure. And sir, just one clarification regarding this offer document. Just to make sure that my understanding is correct, this 12 rupees goes down to about 8 rupees in 2030. That sounds fair to you?
2030?
Yes.
2030 you are talking about, na?
Yes, 6-7 years on the line.
Yeah, I mean it can be, but you can do your number crunching. But
no,
yeah.
I just want to make sure that I'm reading it correct because you'll know it much better than me.
So obviously, too hypothetical, yeah, but obviously it's certainly going to go down because the revenue profile is like this, that after X number of years the top line it starts to decline, and this is the case in all the 5 assets that we own. So it is going to go down, no doubt about it, as reflected in our OD and valuation reports also.
Fair enough. Point taken. And sir, last question, this remaining 26% stake that we'll acquire. I mean, you said the DPU component, DPU amount doesn't go up by a large number, but does this ensure that this 12 rupees can then last for a longer period of time than what it is today?
Pratik ji, as I mentioned earlier also, we are viewing it more from the perspective of gaining 100% control. The DPU is not going to make, take a hit or increased by a large extent due to acquisition, because of acquisition of the 26% stake in balance 4 companies. So whatever dividend we are paying to the other party for holding this 26%, that will start accruing to PG InvIT, and we will discount basis whatever my current cost of that at that point in time will be, basis of few basis points of margin, and offering the acquisition accordingly, offering the acquisition price accordingly to the sponsor.
No, fair, sir. My question wasn't whether your DPU will go up. My question was, if currently we can sustain 12 rupees for another 2-3 years by acquiring this remaining asset, can we sustain it for a longer period of time?
So that will not happen. If the DPU does not increase, so the status remains the same. There will be status quo sort of a thing. So we do not see it going down substantially or increasing substantially. So a few BPs here and there, that is it.
Fair enough. Sure. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question from the Sarvesh Gupta from Maximal Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, first question is, alluding to a previous participant question also, that, it's been more than almost 2 years you will be completing soon since listing, and you have been unable to get anything from Powergrid. And of course, while you can say that Powergrid is the right entity, but you must be also having discussions with them, because you are essentially an offspring of Powergrid, and the company was set up with the view of monetization of Powergrid. But still, after 2 years, you have been unable to even get one asset from them additionally. So what is that discussion is a very pertinent one, and I think unit holders of Powergrid InvIT should be made privy to such developments, that what is happening and why it is not anything is coming to you. And secondly, you have been saying about non-Powergrid assets also for a long time, but nothing is happening on that front also. So is it because of lack of the manpower at your end, or is it because of some other reason why you have been unable to acquire anything, despite having almost zero debt? So there's so much of headroom. You guys are with the Maharatna, you have that debt benefit also on the debt rate. Despite all of that, because this is a very cost of fund sensitive sort of a business, and you have that advantage, and still no acquisitions have been done outside of Powergrid also, despite having almost zero debt. So that also says that something is lacking. So if you can throw some light, why you have not been able to acquire outside of Powergrid also.
We understand your worries on that account. Basically, Powergrid will go for monetization as per Government of India targets, number one. Number two, how much money is required by Powergrid for making new assets. So, keeping both the government plan for the government NMP plan, monetization plan, and the target, Powergrid will be seeing that, and then will be interested for the future sale of the assets of TBCB assets. So, it is not a very simple thing that we go and acquire Powergrid or Powergrid come to us. So it will be on the overall economic scenario, overall assets which Powergrid would like to take in which year, and it wins how many assets on other, as well as other private sectors, how many assets they make, and then they go for InvIT. We are examining both the Powergrid assets as well as other private assets also, and we hope that next year will come with some news. But outside PG also, not many assets are available as of now. So, as we told you, as I had responded to previous question, that because of this RE, lot of construction work will be going on in the next 2-3 years, and because this 500 gigawatt integration has to come. So maybe not immediate future, but after a year or two, you will definitely be seeing a lot of acquisitions.
But as of now, you don't see any, challenges at your organization front which has led to this sort of.
No. There is no challenges in the organizational front. Definitely not.
Okay. And secondly, this thing also I could not understand, this July 22 acquisition. So what led to a delay of this, almost more than a year delay for the balance acquisition? So what is the reason why Powergrid has not gone ahead with the sale of this remaining?
Powergrid may not be interested because Powergrid may not be having that much of construction at present. So to go for monetization, that may be the reason, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And you also mentioned that the main aim is to get complete control, and you also mentioned that it is not going to have any meaningful change in the DPU by acquisition. Then what is the main benefit to Powergrid unit holders to acquire this remaining 26% stake? What exactly do you gain by having 100% control on these assets as opposed to 74% economic interest?
I would request the CFO. I would request the CEO to answer this.
As you know that when we first acquired the 74% as equity stake, under the share purchase agreement, Powergrid is committed to transfer this 26% shareholding to PG InvIT as per that TSA conditions, on fulfillment of the TSA conditions and that time matures. So it is a share purchase agreement under which Powergrid has to transfer the 26% shareholding. Second, the DPU, what our CFO already explained, that this will not give the much DPU increase or reason beyond that key. CFO also explained the structure of this PG. Most of the profit which we are upstream in the form of the interest. So there is a very few limited profit remain with the SPV, which give you a significant boost to the DPU. As you know, our revenue stream, as you go through, there may be dip in some revenue stream also, and the dip in net profit will compensate this by increasing this 26%. So this 12 rupees, whatever we have given the guidance, that will remain, they will not make much significant change.
Understood. But the question was, sir, so there is a sale purchase agreement. So is it at their option to sell us and we are obligated to buy when they want to sell? Or is it like there is a definitive time frame because they have not sort of sold it at the time in July 22? So what is the timeline by which they have to mandatorily sell and we have to mandatorily?
In the share purchase agreement, there is no definite timeline, isn't it?
But it is certainly being transferred by the sponsor to the PG.
So it's an open-ended thing. At any point of time, they feel like selling, they can sell, basically. So it is an optionality at their end.
No. It is not optionality. Deal has to be concluded within a reasonable time.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Anshuman Ashit from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Sir, a few bookkeeping questions. So there has been an increase in insurance expense during the quarter. So any particular reason behind this?
No, this is this premium was paid in I think Q3. That was the reason. In Q3 you saw increase in the insurance expenditure.
So this will be the run rate going forward, or if there is one of the payment that we did?
Yeah, the CEO will answer this. Just a minute.
Insurance premium. There is our insurance period. The insurance period starts from 1st November to 31st October. So in this current fiscal year, there is some increase in insurance premium since 1st November 2022. So you are getting an increase in expenditure of insurance.
Yeah, basically, sir, it depends upon the reinstatement value. I mean, as you are aware that, of late, the metal prices were up quite a bit, and the major chunk of our assets is steel and aluminum. So due to which the replacement cost increased substantially, and when we went to the market for insurance, so the premium which we got for our assets this fiscal, that is from 1st of November 22 till October 23, higher than what we paid for the last corresponding period.
Okay, understood, sir. So, so trying to understand this, so going forward, say the monetization, so if it ever, whenever it happens, so has that discussion, the rights of the whole assets transferring to you versus the rights of only revenues transferring to you, so has that discussion had some clarification from the ministry front, and so what is the status on that, and is that a reason why these acquisitions are getting delayed? Is that one of the reasons as well?
No, we are not fully aware of that. I mean, that what is the going on between Powergrid and the ministry. So maybe I'm not sure.
Okay. Sir, so one final question. So, sir, what has been the incentives and the surcharge income during the quarter?
Yeah, that is just a minute. For the incentive for the quarter ended 31st December, incentive is 105.14 million. Rebate is 12.94 million, and the surcharge is 23.26 million for the quarter ended at 31st December. And for 9 months ending 31st December, it is incentive is 314.57 million, rebate is 45.58 million, and the surcharge is 69.51 million.
69.5. Okay. And sir, what is our cash balance at the end of December?
Yeah, cash balance will be this one. It is 4687.07 million, and which has been kept for the distribution of 3 rupees per unit, which is amounting to 2730 million.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Ravish Chandra, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, sir. Congratulations for maintaining consistency till now. My question is, till this NNP or alternate acquisition happens, our cost should remain same. It should not vary much, other than because we don't have much debt, hardly 1.2% debt. So till we go for acquisition, the expense cost has to remain more or less same according to the revenue. So 12 rupees guidance should be possible, I feel. Correct me, sir.
12 rupees guidance for the next year?
Next year, 23, financial year 23-24.
I won't like to divulge it now. Wait for 3 more months. We'll be coming to you when we come with the Q4 results.
Okay, because we had a lot of confidence with the PGNET till December that ATL acquisition meeting got deferred. That is the turning point for all the investors to get into the future.
Please maintain that level of confidence. We are with you.
And second question, sir, this acquisition, if NNP happens or not, we are not sure, but hope for the rest in the budget, because in one of the articles we saw, maybe the government cannot talk, cost of selling is more for Powergrid. That's the reason they are looking for some alternate channel, whatever. But I think intrastate has huge transmission lines. at least we can look for buying that line.
But yeah, that definitely the government of India has given the policy, but it is yet to percolate within the state. The moment any of the state wants to do it, will be there first.
Sure, sure. See, basically we have 70%, up to 70% debt. Means we have a band. Maybe the management team also enough to acquire another 100%. Is it not?
No. So we have sufficient headroom. We are fully aware. So wherever it is required, even in the intrastate or interstate, will be there and going for acquisition.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Kayur Ashar from PNB MetLife. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. I just wanted to confirm, you mentioned in your opening remarks that there has been some reduction in our overall cost of funding. So can you please share the specific details regarding this?
Pardon? Overall cost of?
Yeah. So, sir, you mentioned our overall cost of funding has gone down. So, could you share the specific details and what was the cost earlier? What is the cost now?
Yeah, I would request my CFO to enlighten you on this.
So actually, the loan that we have with HDFC Bank is linked to 3 months T-bill. So earlier, when we negotiated the loan, the spread was 194 bits over and above the T-bill. So we could negotiate a reduction of 34 BPs in the spread. So now, as per the new condition, the loan stands at 3 months T-bill plus 160 bips. So accordingly, there is a saving of 34 bips on the loan cost here.
Understood, sir. And this would be applicable with effect from January 23?
Yeah, 9th of January 23.
Understood, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead. Mr. Mohit Kumar?
Yeah, I had the same question. It is already answered. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Sanjeev Zarbade from Dream Ladder Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Sir, I wanted to know, like, are the revenues of our 5 assets, if they are going to decline over the medium term, what kind of countermeasures we have at our disposal to kind of, increase the longevity of this rupees 12 per share distribution that we have?
Countermeasures are acquisition of new assets to counter this fall in the revenue. And but let us not look at a very short term. We should look in the long term after 2 to 3 years. As the transmission business grows, as the lot of transmission sector comes for integration of RE. So let us not be very short sighted 2 or 3 years. We'll be definitely acquiring more assets and counter the fall in the revenue.
Thank you. We have a next question from the line of Sunil M. Kothari from Unique Portfolio Managers. Please go ahead.
Thanks for again opportunity, sir. So my just request is when we have a next quarter's call, please try to clarify on the things which concerns investors are expressing, mainly related to Powergrid's asset monetization, maybe any further assets which is maybe in a private scale. So what is our stance? Because you have created a very good confidence in the investor community and just one listed public sector government-owned entity, not private entity, I mean to say. So those confidence and those I think the related it will require a little bit more confidence. I just request that please clarify those things on next con call.
Sure, sir. Definitely.
Very much.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Ketan Shah, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Mr. Shah, can you speak louder, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm an individual investor. I was just interested in knowing that if we don't acquire any further asset, this has a finite life of say 30 years. Now, whatever return you give, at the end of 30 years, if I understand correctly, the capital is written off. So whatever return you give, can you give something as a return of capital, because we have to pay tax when you pay interest or a taxable dividend? Because anyway it will be, our capital will be written off at the end of 30 years.
Yeah, CEO will answer that.
Thank you, Mr. Ketan. Yeah, just to explain you, this is the structure of PG InvIT. We have already shared with you all the revenue stream of 30 years. Going forward, as you say, when there will be no happening of this acquisition, then certainly you will get the capital return in the form of capital return.
Okay, so but my understanding is correct that if there is no acquisition at the end of 30 years, it will be written off, everything, whatever return you have got, say 12 rupees, if we assume, it will be there forever.
That within the 30 years there will be no acquisition, but certainly as you mentioned that principally if it is like that, 30 years there is no acquisition, then you will get the return in the form of your return of the capital.
And sir, be mindful of the fact also that there have been instances in Indian power sector, transmission sector, wherein the useful life has been increased and agreed upon by the regulator. So if the scenario so happens that whatever assets we are holding, and after 30 or whatever the remaining life is, those are considered still to be useful as the transmission assets in the Indian power sector, then there are all the chances that the life of these assets may be increased, after incurring whatever capex is required for, and then the revenue life can accordingly be, further enhanced. So any which way, your capital is secure. Either, since we are the owner, since you are the owner, one of the option is to sell it off and then give the capital back. Other one is to, enhance the life, take revenues for longer tenure, and, just pay back.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management team for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Anshuman and your team, and thanks again to all the participants for attending this call. Good participation in PG InvIT earning calls keeps us motivated, and we always look forward to engaging with our investor community through our analyst calls. We have envisioned PG InvIT to achieve a focused business model with operational efficiency to enhance returns, value accretive growth through acquisitions, and an efficient capital structure in order to provide consistent, stable, and visible returns to our unit holders. Once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to your continued support and confidence in PG InvIT. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.